Council members, I think we're prepared to move forward with the opening of the meeting. So the meeting, Administrative Conference of Shreveport City Council is now called to order. Let us stand, please. Our invocation will be by Councilman Flory, and our pledge will be by Councilman Evers.
Let us pray. O gracious, kind Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this day. We pray for wisdom and knowledge, God, as we go forth making decisions for the city. And Lord, we pray for the administration, for the workers, and I pray for this city, God, that we will find peace. And I pray for those in Orlando, and God, for those families that are suffering their losses. Now give us peace and grant to us this day. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very kindly. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, you may call the roll.
Councilman Bradford.
Present.
Councilman Everson.
Here.
Councilman Deacons. Councilman Corbin.
Present.
Councilman Fleury.
Present.
Councilwoman Lynch. Councilman Bowman.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, council members, for being here in attendance. We had a little extra time off. I'm trusting everybody got caught up on things. Mayor, I hope you got caught up on things.
Never.
Never caught up? Okay, well.
It's not possible.
Yeah, never.
But nevertheless, we're happy to be back in place to transact the business of this city, as we have been given that privilege of doing. On tomorrow, I will be calling for the approval of the minutes of our previous conference and meeting, May 23rd and 24th. Councilman Bowman has joined us. So now we will have recognition and of awards of guests and any communication from council members. Are there any communication awards or just recognition from any council members?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to extend my deepest sympathy and condolences to the Carolyn D. Hunt family. Her funeral. She was a longtime banker here in Shreveport, and we pray for her family.
Thank you. And let me acknowledge, and we'll have an official council statement tomorrow, acknowledge the passing of Reverend Dr. Edward Jones. He was actually, he lived in my district. He was a neighbor, as well as his churches in District 8. We'll have further remarks regarding his passing and the arrangements on tomorrow. Yes.
I was just I'm not sure if somebody else had planned to recognize them, but I saw the Gucci family is here, and there is Oliver, who probably is planning to recognize them.
I was planning to recognize them.
I didn't know if we were about to move on from this section, and I said, I know they've got something good to tell us. So
Sadly, I was a little late coming back from Union Parish, so I got a little bit behind my schedule.
Just
today.
a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah.
But I have a proclamation.
You have the proclamation.
I have the proclamation.
By the way.
Well, let me recognize Councilman Jenkins.
Okay.
May you.
I'm ready to go, but let me, maybe Art, if he could read the proclamation. Oh.
I have a proclamation.
I guess I could read it.
I think it'd be best if you read it.
Okay, I will do it from the dais down here, and then y'all can come up.
All right.
You can see more.
I'd like to hear you read it anyway.
I'm an excellent reader. That is something that
But it's my
you remember.
proclamation.
You want to come up and stand next to me? Okay. From the Office of the Mayor, Shreveport, Louisiana. Proclamation. Whereas Juliana Gucher started Bear Share on May 23rd, 2013, at the age of 6, to collect and distribute stuffed animals to children in hard life situations. And whereas Juliana Gucher felt it was important to share God's love and make children smile. And whereas Juliana Gucher is hereby acknowledged for her 10,000th stuffed animal donation. And whereas Juliana Gucher is hereby commended for her very caring heart and active volunteerism at her young age. Now, therefore, I, Ollie S. Tyler, Mayor of the City of Shreveport, do hereby proclaim June 13th, 2016 as Juliana's Bear Share Day in the City of Shreveport and urge all citizens to go show love to one another. In witness hereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Shreveport to be affixed. Ollie S. Tyler, Mayor. So congratulations.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Fantastic. Okay, well, here, why don't you say something? Would you like to say something? Here, bring it down. You can say thank you, or you can tell why you started this, or anything you would like to.
I'd like to shake her hand. Congratulations. Keep up the great work.
Could I ask a quick question? And you don't have to answer it, but
As your stage manager, I'll be happy to.
could you tell me a little bit about some of the kids who received the bears? I think that's such a kind gesture, and I'd love to hear just maybe any experience you've had sharing, somebody who might have received some of these bears.
She's shy.
Well, like, who did you guys give the bears? Hospitals, and what are some other people?
We gave them to some kids in the NICU.
Oh, fantastic. Those are a good list.
We gave them to Gingerbread House, Shriners Hospital, Philadelphia Center, Willits Knighton, Community Renewal, Common Grounds, Cara Center, Sheriff's Office, City of Shreveport Fire Department, University Health, I don't know if I said that already, Roy's Kids, and I think I named all of them, I don't know.
Okay, well, great. Well, by the way, it's excellent to see somebody of your age so involved in our community. Very important that we instill that in our young people here in this city. We certainly need all the help we can get in many domains, so I really appreciate it, and congratulations. I like your shirt, too.
Yeah,
we're just 43.
Yeah, that's good. That was a great idea. Anybody else want to say anything?
Mrs. Gucher? Hi.
A couple of years ago, y'all were kind and honored the fireman, Fred Johnson, who is a former fire chief, with being my hero. And he's when you go through something really hard, you don't understand like what could ultimately come from it, and you sometimes ask God, why me? Why does this have to happen? And I was 13 in a car accident with my dad, and fireman Fred Johnson gave me a stuffed animal at the scene. And now all these years later, it's turned into this project. And so we're really proud of her, but we're also like, it just shows you to always have faith and know that ultimately good things will end up coming from all of it.
Now, how old is Julianne? I'm sorry.
9.
9 years old. Wow, fantastic. Thank you.
Here, let's get a photo. Like, Mary, did you want to get in a photo? Or you probably.
I can.
Since you didn't read anything.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you're doing.
Pass those around.
You want to pass them around?
What you got, babe? Oh, she got a...
It's the young man.
Oh, yeah. That's the guy reading it the same
Both
thing.
friends, absolutely.
He about to meet your horse. Looking like a big data package.
Go on, standing with you.
I just refreshed and it's still not on. This is supposed to be 73. And that's 73 and 3. That's right. So the other one went away. This.
That goes away, the 30 goes away.
Thank you. Have a beautiful
What
smile.
does this one go into?
Thank you.
You're still on page 1.
Thank you all.
Right, right. 30 goes to
Thank you, Councilman.
Julianne. Julianne.
73, 3, 54,
I love to have that. Thank you.
Hey,
Tell Joey hello for me.
give one for Stephanie, okay?
Okay.
Still one for somebody else.
That's what I go belly to.
All Graciela.
You can't say nothing else.
Thank you all.
You trying to start something on my council.
Might be listening on
That's assistant
what's
principal.
the web viewer?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called? Hang on. I don't even know.
Okay.
Look at that.
What a very nice presentation, Mayor and Councilman Jenkins. Very nice. To recognize such a wonderful effort by a young lady who has put it all into such
Good.
kindness.
It was good. Thank you all for your support.
Welcome.
Before we move on to communication from the mayor, I'm going to wait, Mayor, to the end of the comments, the end of the meeting comments. I want to speak with the police as well as yourself regarding the event that happened on the Saturday previous Saturday,
Okay,
and how we feel we can move beyond there.
absolutely. We already have planned something else that we had planned to talk to you about. So we'll be glad to share. We plan to meet about every 4 months after we look at, some strategies, but we'll talk with you about it if you.
Yeah, it was a good event. I appreciated it, and I saw opportunities as we move forward.
Absolutely. Okay.
All right. So, any other council members have any communication?
Not to, since it was a rather solemn issue, I don't know if anybody had commented on what happened in Orlando,
Not yet.
but absolute disaster. Clearly, our society has no place for hate crimes, and if we can't, all live together and work together and produce something positive, we're in terrible shape, and we just really don't have any place for that type of activity in our society today.
Agreed. Thank you for those remarks. Any other council members want to make any remarks? Okay. Thank you. If not, Madam Mayor, you have voice recognition of guests.
We have a couple of announcements
Please.
today for a change, and then we'll have some for tomorrow. But
Okay.
just, I want to echo the sentiments that were expressed by Councilman Jenkins. We want to say to our publics, our hearts and prayers go out to the families of the victims impacted by this weekend's awful tragedy in Orlando. And we should all continue to be vigilant as we go about our daily routines in this changing world. It was, I guess, according to the media, it was the biggest tragedy we've ever had here in our nation. So let's keep those families in our prayers and in our thoughts. Our prayers also go out to the church family. I think Councilman Bradford mentioned, and all those who were touched by our very own Reverend Dr. E. Edward Jones. City of Shreveport, of course, lost a giant of a humanitarian civil rights worker in his death, and he was a true friend and supporter who not only touched my life, but the lives of so many in this city, state, and nation. And we'll probably mention that again tomorrow on the stream. And of course, the arrangements have been made for this Friday at 11 o'clock, I believe, at the Galilee Baptist Church. The family will be receiving visitors on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Am I correct? And so we'll mention that again tomorrow at the church also. Those are the two I have for today. Mr. Chairman, thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor, for those announcements. Okay. All right, we're going to move forward to reports. Anyone have any questions or comments regarding property standards? Mr. Green is present. Any questions or comments regarding property standards? Mr. Green, let me just ask, in lieu of the volume that of grass cutting and property standards, care premise issues because of the rain and so forth, where are we, as in your estimation, of catching back up to our normal rate of issues?
I think we're at normal rate. I don't have exact numbers for you, but we're well ahead of where we were last year.
Okay. All right, and I failed to realize that we did have a series of weeks of unrainy weather where the heat sort of, and that allowed you to catch up on that area. All right, well, thank you for your service, and we'll be hearing from you later in the meeting. Okay. All right.
Mr. Chair, quick question.
Yes,
Somebody
sir.
here representing Public Works.
Mike's here.
Yeah, Mike
Woods?
Wood, our director.
Okay. Oh, there he is. Okay.
Behind the pole.
Oh, I was like, I can't see. I mean, I scanned the audience for you, but definitely couldn't see you. Mind if I just take a little latitude 1 second?
If you please.
Okay. I've had, and I've sent a couple of emails about this, but I've had several calls and complaints about vegetation in well, I'll call it the duck pond, but it's really the bottom southern two, specifically ponds of the duck pond, but all in terms of just an inordinate amount of growth of algae and just strangling both. Even the ducks are having trouble getting around out there right now, and obviously the debris, once the debris gets in there, then you can't even take out the trash. So what is our policy in regard to that, and do we have something scheduled?
We do. That's duckweed that
Yeah.
you see on the surface. And we had a contractor that was doing our spraying, and we lost that contract last year, and we've been spraying it ourselves. We had some concerns about the strength of the spray because we didn't want to understand the nursery uses some of our water too, so take some out of the bayou. So I didn't want to kill their plants, but at the same time, to let you know, we hired a new contractor. He sprayed the first time last week, so the duckweed should be gone within a matter of 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, so we've already done
it. It's done.
Okay.
And we'll continue to do it, so hopefully we won't have this issue again.
Okay, fantastic.
Mhm.
Thank you.
So while you're there, and I submitted to the administration a couple of drainage ditches that were submitted to me as relates to overgrown. How do you guys address those overgrown ditches? Some with concrete, some without.
What we're trying to do since I've been there is work these by district. And what we're trying to do is go in and clean up all in one area and then go back and go into the next district and clean those. Trying to make a cycle and trying to keep it on time and on schedule. Now, if you have a particular issue, if you send it to me, we'll go up and look at it. If it's critical, if it looks like it's slowing the flow or something like that, then we'll correct it right then.
Okay. That's a lot. In email carry, there's a couple. I think I submitted them. I will review my emails, but they were concerned about the city water is going to create a mosquito issue.
Yes, sir.
And the reason it's being obstructed by debris and grass that the water can't flow freely out of there.
A lot of it falls back to the grass situation. When you got that grass growing, it catches the debris. That in turn just exacerbates the problem.
Okay. But I'll review my notes and emails, and if there are some that I'm very much concerned that should be prioritized, I'll send them to
We'll
me.
take a look, and I'll get back with you and let you know.
Okay.
to talk to you about the grass that Terrence was talking about. We've done about 70% of the number of lots that they did all last year so
Okay.
far this season. So we're going to go well over what we were able to do last year.
Fantastic. And that was another issue that we brought up in property standards meeting in regards to the non-adjudicated lots, where our citizens wouldn't know them apart because some of them are pretty much adjacent to each other. Are we on target as it relates to notifying those homeowners about their care premise?
Yes, sir, and we're working with legal with Mr. Bradford on a one-time letter for those people so that we can notify them. We don't have to go through the long waiting periods and that kind of thing. It'll speed it up a little bit for us, particularly those that, it's habitual situations that, we send them a notice, tell them it's going to be, once it's reached that violation height,
Yes.
we mow it. If it reaches it again this season, we're going to mow it again. And so that should speed things up on the non-adjudicated lots a little bit.
Okay, good. And I think if we be consistent in that, then we'll be good to go. Because again, even though they're not adjudicated, the neighbors and some of the other residents don't know
Right.
from the lots that we're responsible for. So anyway, I appreciate that, and I'm sure as we move forward, we'll be to nip that. Okay. Any other questions, council members, for Mr. Woods?
I just want to make one comment
Yes,
in
ma'am.
addition to what Mr. Wood has mentioned. When we have to mow other private property,
Sure.
then we charge. And so we might need to say that publicly tomorrow because, when the grass meets a certain height, then, we go in and mow it if it doesn't belong to us, but we send a bill to those folk because we can't afford to mow everybody's grass in Shreveport. We're trying to keep up with the adjudicated properties.
That's true.
Okay.
Right. Thank you, Mayor, for that observation. Thank you, Mr. Woods. All righty. We received and tomorrow Mr. Crawford received our revenue collection plan information report and the surety bond public report. I know we received those email. All righty. Public hearing, none for tomorrow. And items to the agenda. Mr. Crawford, do we have any?
We do have one item to add to the agenda, Mr. Chairman. This is a resolution accepting a donation from AEP Southwestern Electric Power Company. This provides $47,500 to replace a walking path around A.B. Palmer Park that was accidentally obstructed by some work done over there by AEP SWEPCO, but it's enough money to redo the entire path around there.
Okay.
We'll be adding that to the agenda tomorrow.
Anyone have any questions regarding this legislation? First, we'll be in accordance to add it to the agenda tomorrow.
How anybody wants to give us money, we'll take it.
You are correct.
Mr. Chairman, there are others to be added.
That's the only one I had.
You have some?
Yes.
Yes, please, Mr. Blake.
Before we get to that, Mr. Crawford, did Mr. Hubbard call you today? Jan Hubbard? Apparently, somebody had invited an official in SWEPCO to be here.
Right.
I don't know whether it's 2 weeks from now or when, whenever this comes up. But he wanted to know what it was about, and I didn't know anything about this at the time.
It came from my office. He just asked him to give me a call. No, he has not. If he'll just give me a call, I will explain it to him.
Okay.
Okay.
We have several items that are on here that can be added. One is the approval of the special meeting minutes of May the 23rd. Tomorrow, we will ask you to add that and then immediately approve it since we will have already approved the other minutes by the time we get to it down here.
Okay.
And then there are 3 resolutions, resolutions to suspend Chapter 10. And I think Jeff knows about all of those.
Just more events in District B. So one is a 4th of July watching party. One is an event that's as part of the Pride festivities for this coming weekend. And then one is a fundraiser for the Rotary Club.
So those are all of the ones we have. There are 3 resolutions, and adding the special meeting minutes for the Picnic Lounge that we had at the end of last meeting.
Okay. All righty, well, those seem to be some very worthy
Regional Vice President.
legislation that we can adopt, especially add, because I know they need to know, Councilman Jefferson, if we go ahead and move that, they could go ahead and plan on that, for that event, those events. All righty, we'll be prepared to add those tomorrow also. Any other, probably any other remarks regarding legislation?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, if not, then we have one request to speak on an item that's on the agenda for tomorrow regarding a ZB appeal. Mr. Settle, John Settle, is here to speak on that PAC 3416 regarding that appeal.
Gentlemen, John Settle, my office address is 1915 Citizens Bank Drive. My home address is 33 Tealwood, Shreveport. I've been a resident of Shreveport since I was transferred here with Barksdale Air Force Base in January 1 of 1977. I represent Union Investments. These are the owners of the property. The ZBA approved a low alcohol license for them, and that has been appealed by some neighborhood people. This came before you about 13 months ago. They went through the ZBA process. At that time, there was an appeal, and I believe that Councilman Lynch opposed this. This is in her district, and as a result, the council overturned the ZBA. Gentlemen, it's time that we started looking at the big picture, and I'm aware that each of you has constituents and that its constituents call on you, but this is a case where this application should stand up. It should not be overturned. We have an area along Linwood, and we're talking about the 7700 block that has been zoned B2 forever. And here is right across cattywampus from my client's store is a Jiffy Pack, 7727 Linwood. And these are some pictures I took this morning of this facility. It's an old 1950-ish strip center that has three businesses in it. Across the street, literally, you could throw a rock, is 7850 Linwood. City Market, which my clients have spent approximately $400,000. Let me show you some pictures of this as the outside. Well, I've already messed up. I'll try to have these here for you. It's a very modern facility. It's well lighted inside. I have pictures inside. It is quite a different contrast from what's across the street. My clients pay, thank you. What did I do wrong? I'm always challenged. I will try back. Thank you. And I know it's going to be a little more than 3 minutes, and I apologize. This is the exterior of City Market, $400,000 investment, which is literally across the street. All right. Another picture of part of the parking lot. There's a privacy fence on the right side as you're facing it, which would be the south corner. Another picture of the other side, again, looking at it, and you'll see a privacy fence. Another picture of the privacy fence, clean big parking lot. Here's some inside pictures. It's actually a small supermarket. It's somewhat different from your Circle K. If you went in there, you'd see a lot of canned and items and staple goods. There is a butchery in there. Another picture of a bright lighted modern store. I don't have pictures inside the other one because I didn't think it was appropriate to walk into the establishment to show pictures of an old, dark, dirty facility, which is a Jiffy Pack. Another picture inside my client's store. Another picture looking out at the parking lot. This city market will pay city and parish taxes this year of approximately $7,000. $1,000 more than Jiffy Pack right across the street. And the reality is that alcohol is in this neighborhood. Alcohol is a part of our city. 5 of your 9 resolutions today, new resolutions, deal with having alcohol at special events. All I'm talking about is fairness. And this is what that I think that the whole council should be looking at when you're looking at economic development. This area is zoned to allow this. My clients have gone through the process, and perhaps they should have all done this before they did it, but they've gone through the process twice now. They've been approved twice unanimously by the ZBA. And I expect some neighborhood opposition tomorrow, and I'll be here again tomorrow to answer questions and to show some pictures about it. Interestingly enough, this house right here is right around on Harrison Street, and it actually is behind the right side of my facility. The resident of this house may be here tomorrow, but I took this picture today. That picture in the garage had 4 men in it that were drinking this morning. They didn't like me taking pictures. And so this alcohol is in this neighborhood. They can walk across Linwood, 4 lanes of heavy traffic to go there to buy the alcohol, or they can walk right around the corner. But alcohol's there, and it's in our city. Let's just accept that. Whether religiously you have convictions, but it's there. It's a part of our economic tax base. And so when this comes before you tomorrow, I expect that there'll be opposition. I've tried to reach out to Council Lady Lynch. I have not heard from her, and I understand how the politics of a district run. But we need to look at the big picture and economic development and fairness within appropriate zoning, and we don't need to have litigation over whether or not this should allow. I'll be happy to answer any questions, or if you have something I should research for tomorrow, I'll be happy. I'll be back.
Let me, Attorney, certainly we mitigated this, like I say, 13 months ago. The neighbors, the opponents, and the proponents, the owners was here. And we felt comfortable in getting all the information that we got to make this decision that we made. Now, I agree that, alcohol and beverages are in Shreveport, and it's not a bad thing as long as everybody abide by the rules and ordinances of the city. But at the same time, we have to give consideration to the neighbors and the residents of those areas. They make their expressions to their council people, and then they make a case on how and why they want to maintain some degree of neighborhood integrity. Just because that alcohol is zoned for those outlets does not mean that they want one on every corner. So this body looks at all aspects of application of an appeal. We made a decision. We'll be open to hear again, and you will be making a presentation as well as, I'm sure, some opponents of it. If something has changed, if the council member from that district has been approached and has a different opinion about this particular outlet, then we'll certainly consider that. But it ain't all driven by economic development, economic investment. We want to maintain a certain degree of neighborhood wishes and integrity of how they want to see their neighborhood.
Can I respond to
that? After Councilman Corbin speaks. Councilman Corbin.
I just had 2 questions. This is coming back to us because the 12-month waiting period.
Yes, sir. And before, they had not actually opened. I got in this before. I think they applied while they were in the construction.
Right.
And they were denied, and then they have opened. So they've actually, it's been 13 or 14 months since they were here, and they've actually been physically open for at least a year. So we're coming back a second bite at the apple. The primary difference being the fact that they now have been open for a year, and they understand that the operations without they report to me, without the sales of alcohol, that a lot of customers come once and don't come back.
And their application is for beer and wine.
Only, correct. Same as what's right across the street.
In that year, are you aware, have there been any calls for service to the police at this location?
To my knowledge, I did some check. There have been none. Their parking lot, I've been by several times in the last 2 months at different days of the week. It's been clean. They're not open on Sundays, but they have, to my knowledge, and I could check on that with the appropriate authorities, there have been not any problems there.
It looks clean and, well maintained. I mean, I would say that there is, to me, something of a difference between not knowing what's going to go into an area and having a year of seeing a store operate to see what kind of store it is. Right. I would feel a little bit more secure after a year of, because it looks to be, if those are recent pictures, it looks to be in pretty good condition, still. So.
And that was my inquiry about what has changed. And
well, it's been open a year. Before they had not opened, sir. They were.
I know, and we get it. We get it a lot that when we get opposition to these type of outlets, it's always the worst case scenario. Loitering, there's crime.
Dirty parking lot, beer cans.
Yeah, I mean, we get all that. So,
yes, sir,
all that's a part of
that.
the equation. And like I say, neighbors come in with these fears, and certainly the council members have to be sensitive to the neighbors also. Even though we can't recruit businesses people and then tell them what they can and cannot sell. I don't think that's fair either. But you want to respond to my question regarding the neighborhood?
I'll wait till tomorrow. I'm on the opposition. All I could say is, if the lady who opposed the ZBA comes to bar, I hope so, because I'll ask her about the 3 gentlemen at 10 o'clock this morning drinking beer in her carport. And if she's that opposed to alcohol, then maybe she would not have different people in her carport. But I'll save some more for tomorrow.
We can't.
I'll go by again in the morning, too, and take some pictures.
Councilman Fleury wants to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Settle, I guess it would only take you to create a first.
What?
First time since I've come on this council, I'm going to have to take an exception to my chairman. He and I don't agree. I would hope the council would be consistent. And we went out on Pines Road, and we made the citizens, Then we went to Hearn Avenue, and all I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, is I hope the council will be consistent.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. Councilman, did you weigh in, Councilman Bowman? Yes, you may speak.
It was, first we did, I tried to speak to the owner when he was here, but his attitude was so bad when we was trying to get an understanding. I mean, he had a real nasty attitude, and I was done,
I didn't know he was even here. Yeah.
I think we were into trying to think about whether we should or shouldn't, or whether we could or could not. But after his attitude was so bad, I was done.
I can understand it. At times, he and I've had differences. So I've known him for a few years. I just got involved in this the last couple of months when we went for the ZBA. He'd already made his application, and I asked him if he wanted to come to the meeting. He said it'd probably be better if he'd stayed home. So I guess it's between the devil and deep blue sea if he sent me. So I don't know.
He helped lose a vote or two, I know.
There were plenty of us that...
He can be tough to deal with. At times, we've had to raise our voices when we were supposed to be on the same train in my office. So I can understand completely.
And that may be one of the areas you need to speak with him on, because, again, that same attitude was expressed to the residents that we felt. And we felt somewhat that he wasn't really caring about their their concerns. He would just want to do this and wanted us to.
Well, I've gone in the store, and it's very clean, quite a contrast from the other ones, ATM, and I've been in the store different times of the day, 3 times now, at different times, unannounced, and I've gone to the other store twice. I doubt I can get back in this time, but I think the attitude has changed, and I can understand. My client's hard to deal with at times.
Again, I want you to understand, and your clients can understand, that this body is open.
Yes, sir.
The decision we made 13 months ago with new information give us new options of how we want to do this. So I'm just saying this, but I also want to say to my good friend Glory that there's no one-size-fit-all approach to what we put and do in this city. Different council districts has different needs, have different standards that they want and don't want. So. But again, I think you made a great presentation. You showed us.
Even from public safety, if they want to buy beer, they won't have to cross 4 lanes of Linwood to buy.
I'm not concerned about how they buy their beer.
And back to the carport.
Okay.
I mean,
but listen, we are concerned about the safety, but not in that aspect, because see, we deal with people who violate our codes.
Have you been down Linwood about that? How fast they drive along there?
I don't go across and get no beer.
Trying to cross over today to take those pictures out.
I'm not concerned about that. Okay, we're concerned about how would this fit in with the neighborhood selling the beverage that they want.
I agree, sir. And all kidding aside.
But thank you for coming down, and we will give it our highest consideration tomorrow.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Get rid of all those speed bumps.
Yeah. We got a lot of speed bumps on Linwood, so they can't be going too fast down there.
You reference speed bumps as being potholes?
Speed bumps or potholes?
Okay, all right, thank you. And gentlemen, let's review this so we can discuss it with merit on tomorrow. All right, Mr. Crawford, where are we here?
We're into the consent agenda legislation, Mr. Chairman, to adopt ordinances and resolutions. Resolution 113 suspends certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the sale, dispensing, and consumption of alcoholic beverages for the Highland Jazz and Blues Festival located at 600 Columbia Street. Resolution 114 suspends certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the sale, dispensing, and consumption of alcoholic beverages for the Great Raft Brewing for the Independence Day Party. Resolution 115 suspends the effects of certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the City Code of Ordinances relative to the Texas Avenue Makers Fair. 116 suspends the effects of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of property located at St. Vincent, Mall St. Vincent for the annual Firecracker Run on July 4, 2016. Resolution 117 suspends effects of certain provisions of Chapter 10 relative to alcoholic beverages, and Chapter 106 relative to zoning and property located at the LSUS for the National Hot Air Balloon Championship Rally. Resolution 118 suspends the effects of certain provisions of Chapter 10 relative to alcoholic beverages, and Chapter 106 relative to zoning for property located at the Stoner Boat Launch for the annual Turkey Trot on November 24, 2016. Resolution 119 authorizes Thomas Gale Wren and Regina Lewinson Wren, located at 9927 Canvasback Drive, to connect to the water and sewer system of the City of Shreveport. Resolution 120 declares the official internet of the City of Shreveport to the official intent of the City of Shreveport to reimburse certain capital expenses for police and public works vehicles and equipment from proceeds of lease purchase agreement. And Resolution 129 suspends certain provisions of Chapter 10 and Chapter 106 of the Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the sale, dispensing, and consumption of alcoholic beverages for the Let the Good Times Roll Festival this weekend on June 17th through June 19th.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
Unless there's an objection, we would also read Resolution 130, 131, and 132 in this same section.
Please, sir, if we add them to the agenda, they will be adopted along with these. Okay. Any questions regarding any of these resolutions, council members? Okay.
Resolutions on second reading and final passage, or which will require only one reading. Resolution 101 authorizes the execution of a retainer agreement with Cook, Yancey, King, and Galloway, APLC. This is a resolution that was brought for a first reading that was vetoed, and this is the one that we're asking for just a vote to
That was just kind of a
remove.
cleanup. There was some language that needed to be changed.
Yeah, there's an additional resolution 125 will clean up this language. We're just voting this one, asking the council to vote this one down, and then the new resolution cleaning up it wasn't just the language, it was the advertising.
The timing,
was not
that
done
was
in
it.
time. So tomorrow, the administration will ask you to vote 101 down. Resolution 102A is a resolution ratifying the acceptance of a donation of $15,000 from Capital One Bank. This was to provide paint for the recent Paint Your Heart Out initiative. Resolution 109 authorizes the mayor to make application with the U.S. Department of Justice for a JAG grant in the amount of, I believe, $62,000. This will purchase boats for Cross Lake Patrol. Resolution 110 selects the Times as the official journal for the city of Shreveport for the period commencing July 1st, 2016 through June 30th, 2017. Resolution 111 is a resolution accepting a donation from Willis Knighton Health Systems. This is $50,000 to fix the roof at the Andrew Curry Community Center. Resolution 112 allocates funds to specific non-for-profit organizations from funds budgeted and other charges in the Riverfront Development Special Revenue Fund. Resolution 127 remembers Reverend Johnny L. Horton Sr. for his contributions to the greater Shreveport community. And then finally, Resolution 128 remembering the many contributions of Fire Chief Dallas W. Green Jr. to dedicate the 800 block of Crockett Street in his honor. And we will ask for a postponement of that tomorrow so it can be taken up with the family and the councilman who's introducing that on the next meeting of June 28th of the council.
Okay.
Now, can I make a comment there?
I think you yield to Councilman Jenkins.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I didn't know if he had already, did he press?
Oh, I was clicking my button. It didn't take for
Okay,
some
so,
reason.
no, my mistake, so.
Now, go ahead, sir.
Right. So on that resolution, so yeah, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, unfortunately. I have to be out of town, but would like to postpone it. But I do, and I understand that we have kind of what we've historically done as far as, putting up a street sign, those signs. But one thought I have is, could we not, been discussing the idea of either, going through the 6-month process of just either actually changing that one block, and administration and I have been in discussions about that. And then Art brought up another idea, might be a middle ground between the two, would be to, consider trying to get, since there's so much public support for Dallas Green, to try to raise a little money and actually put together a small marker that is more significant, not paid for out of city funds. Obviously, my strategy would be first to do the sign and then maybe put a group together about putting together something a more significant, not paid with city, so we're not changing what our status is there, but commensurate with the nice new fires. I mean, the redo of the art state. I think the location is perfect. And maybe, either have somewhat in conjunction with the art station, design one and raise it. So that's just kind of an idea that I have based on some suggestions from Art that I think may be a better way to go long term rather than just this initial step. So if people are somewhat amenable, and I understand the devil's always in the details on these type of things, but if that's something we should consider, I'd happy to take feedback at any point on this.
I have a question on, is it appropriate?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
On this, so I know that obviously we have a, the law that's in place about, changing a street name has to be 2 years after the deceased person has been deceased. But there are, it seems like I remember a few places in town where there's a street that still has like its official name, but it has like on the street sign another name too.
That's what this resolution would do.
No, not like the ones where it
Not
says
dedicated
the street
to,
dedicated in
dedication.
honor of. But for instance, like some streets, it's like a parenthetical name. Like I think maybe it's just a local name. It's maybe not the official name. Is that something that's probably something that we've done a few times. I can only think of like maybe 2 examples of that. But there are a few where, the road may still have a state name or something. It may still be called some number, but it has
thinking about Hillary Huckabee.
Well, Hillary Huckabee and Terry Bradshaw Passway is kind of that way, but those are state ones. But I'm not so sure. I think maybe even San Fertitta Boulevard is that way, because on some maps that still comes up as Snow Street. So
That's a little part underneath
Yeah, I know exactly where it
interstate.
is.
There isn't
Yeah.
any, I don't know if there's any houses that have an address
know.
there.
Yeah, I don't think so.
On Hillary
about the
Huckabee,
Terry
the
Bradshaw.
city changed the name of the street,
Mhm.
but the state did not.
Okay.
Right.
So that's why you have the state highway,
Okay.
and then you have a city name.
So that's probably what I'm thinking of because the other example was a state as well.
Like
So
the Terry Bradshaw Parkway.
that's a state one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
So
no
that might be
residents
what
on
I'm
there.
thinking. I was just curious if there was a difference in that. And
You,
if
you want to
that
change
might-
the name?
No, I mean I'm just asking because I think Oliver was saying he was curious about maybe changing the name of just that one block. And
One business on that block. too.
How many?
I think there's only one business that would have
I'm not sure
an
there,
actual address.
I'm not even sure there's even one business that has it on that particular block.
well, I mean, isn't
Schrack.
Strack's address is on
Crockett
that
is at
block?
the intersection of Crockett and Common.
For some reason, and I may have done this wrong, but I think it shows up
Art
comment,
Fire station. The new central art station.
Yeah, their mailing
Common?
their mailing address is 800 Crockett.
oh, it is.
It is. Yeah.
It's like 801.
They should have
801. Yeah.
801 or something like that.
Are you?
But I mean, interesting points to note. I mean, it's just.
I mean, it's about residents. You're right. I mean, I just thought about on Willis Knight campus, that's those thoroughfares that go through there. They changed that block where there's no residents. That way you don't have to go through the mailing criteria. So if there's only one house or one residence or one address, then it's easy, it'll be easy to change that.
Yeah, it's not as big. It's not as big of
Because
a
you don't
deal.
wanna go-
But then I think it is like I think that where you get into problems. I think the reason we have that 2-year waiting period is that like where you get into difficulties is nowadays with all of these computer mapping systems and stuff. If you change the name of a street, you got to make sure and get it changed on all the mapping
911.
databases, so that 911 and Google Maps and MapQuest and all those people all have it as well. But I don't think that's maybe as big a deal as it was a few years ago. I think that was pretty difficult when they were first kind of going through the transition, but I don't know, maybe that's a little streamlined now. I'm not sure. I just recall that being given to me as a reason at some point.
And I hate to use the work session as a brainstorming session, so that wasn't necessarily my intent, but it's kind of evolved since you and I talked on the phone on kind of what ideas are, and, you know, love to discuss it with anybody. I'm still proposing we go with this, what I call first step, but maybe come up with a longer-term strategy.
But I agree that I think that the name deserves something more than just a marker saying dedicated to.
I mean,
Okay. In memory of, okay.
yeah.
So we would support and encourage further discussion and something that would be fitting of
His contribution to our community. And I want to make clear it isn't Jeff's district, and I'm not diving in unannounced. He's invited me.
You are welcome to do good things in my district. Just don't come in my district doing bad things. But you're welcome to do positive things. Please.
Okay. Now, Councilman Everson, you wanted to
I
speak
did.
on another issue?
I did. Thank you. I just wanted to mention on Resolution 112. I just want to call that to everybody's attention. That is a recommendation from the B4 committee. You know, we get so this is later, and keep in mind we had moved to this newer system of determining civic appropriations. That was in the second to last year of the prior administration. And then that administration sent out, you know, they did it correctly that first year. Then the next year they sent out the applications from 2 years before, which were not consistent with the new ordinance that we had adopted. And then before Mayor Tyler came in office, they sent out those incorrect applications again. So then Mayor Tyler's administration sent out the correct ones last year, but this timing got a little off from what it usually is. So this is much later in the year than what we would usually consider. But we wanted to do it correctly because we had had a couple of years of it not having been done by ordinance. So this year it's been done correctly by ordinance. It's been sent to the review team who came back with this set of recommendations. This is, of course, just recommendations. If there are council members who see fit to amend this, that's not going to offend anybody. That's just, these are the recommendations that were given to us by the committee that reviewed it, and we accepted them and passed them on to the full council for review. So that's what you have here. If you have additional questions about these, I'm happy to answer, but that's what you've got in front of you right now. This does leave a balance in the civic appropriations account because we, can't always depend on casino revenues coming in at full volume, and so we didn't want to, issue out every penny that we had in that account. So this does represent, substantial balance that's still in there. So, also if some purpose comes up that we feel is appropriate to fund out of this, there's still something in there that, could be used. But just wanted to give a little background information on that. If you got any other questions, let me know.
I want to speak on that. We spent, and I'm a part of the committee, and several other council members in the committee. And this comes up every year when as relates to our civic appropriations. I discovered, as the original ordinance was presented for this Riverfront B4 account, 20 years ago it was adopted, and according to the sources that was at the meeting, that this the purpose in which it was developed and implemented have never met its recommendation. That is, that out of the last 20 years, the funds that was designed and designated to go toward riverfront downtown improvement has never been used for that purpose. It has been diverted to other purposes over the last 20 years. So I'm going to propose, not now, administration, but I'm going to propose that we amend that complete ordinance, because it's not being utilized to its intent, and the money is being funneled other places and never downtown. I suggested that we will utilize it more toward our neighborhoods, working through our community-oriented policing, where we can develop neighborhoods and neighborhood associations and with neighborhood watch groups that could be used as outsources of our city apparatus to help engage our citizens and keep our citizens engaged in being our extended eyes and ears into the community, giving us opportunities and leeways into communities, because we will require certain things of them if we're going to help fund them. I was mentioning that in 1991, when we started the Queensboro Neighborhood Association, for years, and I was the president of the organization for 10 years, and in those 10 years, the city assisted us with grants to help us do certain things within that Queensboro neighborhood, and I thought it was a good gesture in the fact that it gave city departments opportunities to come into Queensboro and dialogue and give directions to that neighborhood association in helping them revitalize Queensboro, and it worked. Instead of us, just arbitrarily giving funds to everybody who asked for it, that we will let our neighborhoods be our first priorities in helping them establish and maintain some degree of vigilance for the city and work to improve their neighborhoods. Now, in saying that, we was under discussion on last week. There was 7, well, there was 8, but we took out the SWAC proposal. There was 7 nonprofits that submitted applications, and when it was referred to the committee, they came back with 6, and they left off MLK, EDC. And the reason that I understood was that they didn't get their information in timely, but my information from the director is that it was sent timely. It was just a matter of what time the meeting started. I was submitted a copy. I hand-delivered it, but it was also faxed. And that disturbed me only because they fitted the criteria which I was talking about. There's no other association that I know of, I mean, maybe Broadmoor, that do as much with their funding that we assist them with in the MLK CDC. They are always constantly present when interest of this city is at hand. Great American Cleanup, they have over 50 or 60 volunteers. Matter of fact, they was #1 in trash pickup. When it comes to our community-oriented seminar every year, they always have the most people there to engage our city departments in how and what they can do to help better their communities. When it comes to funding and assisting other entities within their neighborhoods, they are always using their funds, and they get more funding from us. They have tutoring programs. They're working to get a office space. They use their funds that we assist them with to beautify their community. They help with other events within their community. We're talking about a community of over 15,000 residents, the largest contiguous community in Shreveport, and the largest contiguous African American community in the United States. And they are doing great things. There are several other nonprofits, but they are the catalyst of what good happens on the MLK area, and yet they were left out. And I don't think that's fair. It does not speak well of the value of this city, because again, I said earlier, not earlier today, but earlier in my tenure here on the council, that we write off and allow a lot of city resources to be directed in a lot of different places that we don't account for. And yet, when we can put our hands on something that is being done tangible in the community, we seem to have some resistance on assisting those entities. And I think we've got to be more active and proactive in recognizing who is really helping us. If you look at who was awarded, who were recommended to be awarded, direct city relations are not there. I mean, there are city citizens and their entities within the city, but a direct result or a situation where this donation is paying dividends, are we getting a return on this donation for the betterment of the city? Directly is not there. Indirectly maybe, but directly is not there. But with the neighborhood group, we are getting direct return on our assistance and our assisting them in their endeavors. So, in the future, I'm going to get with the council office, and we're going to look at how we can redirect or reword our resolution to assist more neighborhood groups, and asking the community-oriented policing to be the catalyst in organizing groups. With the last month or so of incidences, we needed eyes and ears, and we didn't have very many coming forward. Everybody wanted to do something, but we did not have a direct inroad into organization that could give us information. I think if we can outsource some responsibility to the neighborhood groups, we can get that done. So tomorrow, I'm going to ask that we amend this recommendation by adding $5,000 to the MLK CDC. It would only bring us within $5,000 of our balance, and I think that would be fair to everybody. That everybody who applied would have gotten a grant or a contribution to their endeavor. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Councilman Everson if he could help me with Bernstein. I'm not sure I understand what that group does.
Bernstein, from the application, if I recall, their program was sort of a meal program similar to, we actually had some discussion that there may be some replication of services from what we're providing at SPAR centers up there. That was one that we discussed in the meeting that maybe we didn't think should be funded. It was recommended by the review committee that it was appropriate for funding, but there was some discussion in our meeting. So I say that to say there are several of these that don't just think that we're saying you have to fund all of these. If you want some, yeah, please, they're welcome. This is just, we are passing along the recommendations of the review committee without edit. That doesn't mean that I might not have an amendment myself that comes forward, you know. So, I mean, there are some.
Those tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think we've waited long enough on this. I don't mind postponing this to the next meeting so that we have, because technically we don't have to. It's, you know, it's in the budget. This is just a resolution allocating the money. But these people have waited long enough, 2 weeks longer, to make sure we get it right and have all of our questions answered and communicated. I think is totally appropriate. Councilman Bradford sounds like he's got an amendment he wants to offer. There may be other amendments. I don't think we need to feel the pressure to get this done tomorrow. I think it's probably more appropriate if we postpone it to the next meeting so we can kind of communicate a little bit more on it. But I did want to get it to everybody's desk timely so that we had it. The other thing I do want to make sure that everybody knows is that this year we are going to be on the correct time frame. So the administration, and thank y'all for that, has gone through and edited the application appropriately, and it's ready to be sent out for the next budget cycle to where we're going to be able to vote on these when we vote on the budget. So that'll be great, and we'll get back on the schedule that most people are more accustomed to. But for this one, like I say, unless anybody has a major objection, I think it's totally appropriate that we maybe wait till the next meeting before adopting it so that we can have those discussions about, you know, what we would fund or not.
Okay, you present that tomorrow, Councilman Everson, for postponement. We support that.
I will gladly.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I
Several of us had our names in the queue. Art
It's not coming out. Yeah,
Art had
it's doing
one up there.
something
Art,
weird.
were you trying to speak?
Oh, something else.
Okay, well, I have two, and it's not racial. I'm sorry, Councilman Corbin.
If we're going to postpone it tomorrow, that's fine. I think it would be good if everybody on council got a summary, and I don't know who needs to prepare that, if that needs to come from the council office or not, but it would be good to get a summary of these groups that have potential allotments and what they're asking for. Because like we did say, Bernstein was, meal program. One of them was passing out backpacks. I think that will help the discussion and the decision-making process. Whether we postpone it tomorrow or not, I intend to make a substitute motion similar to what I made in the Audit and Finance Committee to fund a smaller number of these at a smaller amount. And if we think that community-oriented policing and programs associated with that are important for our neighborhoods and our city, let's transfer the rest of that money to those particular programs. And let's put our money where our mouth is.
Well, let us also keep in mind that this same fund does fund NIP and does fund the general fund and does fund a lot of things that go towards neighborhoods already. So, I mean, the majority of this money is going towards that kind of thing in citywide services anyway, because we need this money to supplement the general fund.
But obviously,
just as a point
it's not enough from the discussion I'm hearing.
Point of order.
Councilman Corbin, now, in your motion, will you be adding that money for the MLK CDC, 5,000?
It was not in my original discussion at the finance meet and at the Riverfront before the meeting.
But if we reduce some of these others to...
They're not on my short list.
Okay.
Yeah. What was it? Councilman Jenkins?
I mean, I'm okay if, I know they all got dumped out of it, so.
No, but I mean, he asked for a point of order, and now I'm recognizing you, sir.
Okay. First thing, conceptually, I just want to say, yes, the whole riverfront fund was to support activities around downtown and the riverfront. Let's make sure that's the...
economic development.
And economic development. That's the whatever $7 or $8 million bogey that we start the whole beginning of the year. Now we're talking about 100 grand or whatever's in that number now. I don't remember exactly.
150.
150. Okay. So, and not to be argumentative, but I'd love to have one part of that 7 million actually devoted to its purpose, and I'd be okay if we said, okay, we got the rest of this 6.9 million. It is dedicated to whatever, but we'll just keep one small bucket actually specifically focused on the initial intent of the 7 million. Now, I see both sides of that argument, but I mean, it is a little bit sad that we're thinking about getting rid of any association. We don't want to keep any of it back to its initial intent. I also go to the point that the next part of the discussion is general fund, right? So now we are, whatever, June 13th, okay? We're halfway through the year. I'm sure every one of these organizations need this money. But apparently they've made it the first 6 months without it. Our budget, right now, we're a couple $100,000 below on revenues. We're
600,000.
600. I'm probably one that would say, at this point, I'd like to keep all of this in our budget, and at least then, as we kind of move this bogey around for the rest of the year, at least we got a little bit more in there to manage what we think are more critical areas of our budget. I'm just saying that because I mean, obviously I'm a huge supporter of Providence House and VOA. I've been very involved with them for a long time. Great organizations, and I don't discount all of them are good organizations. But I'm not sure we're making the critical difference in these organizations at this budgetary point, and I'd hate to continue to debate this and get to whatever month of the year. And in the end, I'd rather just keep it in our general fund when we know we're already a little bit behind. I mean, in our riverfront to support our general fund if indeed we don't continue to make our numbers. I know I'm way off what the whole discussion started with, but I try to go back to the forest rather than the tree at this point.
Yeah, please, Councilman Bowman.
No, I guess Councilman Jenkins pretty much summed up what I was, along the guideline of what I was going to. I'd rather see Volunteers of America getting more, and also with Corbin, there's a couple on there that I think that maybe should be reduced. Also, that being said, you pretty much summed up what I had to say. So that's
okay, and I think we all got our opinions about this, and I think Councilman Everson's suggestion that we delay it a minute may be the right way to go. Yeah. Mayor?
I just wanted to, not that I had anything to do with any selection. I did not. I did not try to influence it in any way. I would ask council members if you would consider allowing us to provide you with the various pots of money that we provide to different organizations, because some organizations are already getting money from the city that you may not know about. And
Mayor Tyler, I think we actually do have that, so
okay.
Maybe I'll ask Jackie, I'll help you get together and we'll make sure everybody gets that information.
But what I found when I became mayor is that we've got people who get money from different departments, and they don't say it's from the city of Shreveport, but it's from the city of Shreveport. And, community development is the city of Shreveport. SPAR is the city of Shreveport. And when you're getting money from one department or two departments because of your unique needs in your community, you're still getting money from the city of Shreveport. So I would ask you to look at that, because what we try to do from the administration viewpoint is to make sure that we're trying to address the needs in everybody's district with the resources we have and resources that we are trying to get from state and federal levels. And we get funding because we have to apply for those grants. My staff spend many hours trying to get grant funding. I spend many hours talking with congressmen and writing letters trying to get those grant dollars in here so that we can provide those services to the different communities. And sometimes constituents don't tell y'all that. But we can give you a list of what we give every community and every organization from the different departments.
Yeah, I appreciate those remarks. and I know that happens, okay? I just want to say two things. The funds that comes out of Riverfront Development Special Revenue Fund, civil appropriations, the city was not able to pay its bills. That little money would not put a dent into our situation. It won't be because of this fund that this city go bankrupt. The other part that we found when we came on the council last year, that the prior council for the last 19 years, the councilman had used that as their slush fund, their feeding their people fund. I mean, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but then we got here, there was no money left. Last year, I mean, there was a time early on, there was millions of dollars that fund was generating. And the previous council members used it for their discretion to help.
That's incorrect.
That's not correct?
That is not correct.
Fundamentally.
The revenue in this fund has increased as casino business has increased. What has happened is the amount that goes out of the Riverboat Fund to fund general fund has also increased.
Okay.
But
I'm saying, but
to say that prior councils used it as slush fund, I'm gonna argue.
I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to use that terminology. Well, that terminology was based on my observation of the prior budget. When I sit here and I saw that fund being utilized for all kind of different things, it was almost like a spending spree was going on. And I made a statement that why would this council, the prior council to this council, allow such spending when those guys are going to be gone? But my point is simply that I'm down for utilizing the fund, or utilizing those resources and that revenue for whatever the city could get the best return on that investment. I don't know what that is, but I'm saying, but I do know that I saw funding levels that was at that was at levels that was generated by council members and the previous mayor, not you, mayor, that they took care of their friends and some of their associates. I saw that. Now I'm not going to.
What is an example of that?
Huh?
What is an example of that?
Well, I mean, for instance, MSI. I mean, I didn't know, but I'm saying that was funded at a $200,000+ level. There was other funding levels that was at levels that nobody could tell us what return we was getting on those type of investments. But I could go back and pull the budgets easy. But I'm just saying we don't have that issue no more. We don't have that luxury of having those kind of funds no more. So I'm saying as we have on discussion of these funds and reviewing what we can do. Okay, I'm saying the criteria on how these funds was to be distributed was known, but it was somewhat arbitrary because we can look at these funding, these 6 entities, and we can almost justify on what category that they fit into as relates to the criteria of why they should be getting city funds. Even though some of us say, well, we should not be funding meals or backpacks, but they still affect our residents. But I mean, I don't want to get into a lot. Maybe my statement was exaggerated, but I do know that in prior years, the funds was there to do things that we don't have the opportunity or the luxury to do. And I'm going to support the postponement, but at the same time, we are a diverse city with diverse needs. And the term double dipping, do not apply in this situation. It's just like saying if I get food stamps and I get free lunch, then I'm double dipping. That's a whole different thing. I'm looking at what's best and what return are we getting for the resources that we provide, in addition to the resources that we so easily give away in allowing others to use resources for this city that we don't account for. And we also have to keep in consideration that we are oftentimes awarded awarded resources and revenue that we don't look for only for the purpose and reason that others may feel generous about doing things for us. So I'm just saying it's a broad spectrum, but I don't want to limit our thinking and limit our attention to just 2 or 3 groups that we think are not being good stewards of what we apply to them. I'm finished with that. Anybody else have any remarks regarding this?
I do.
Mr. Clerk.
On this issue, just two comments. If we are expected to give a list of the revenue sources for various organizations, we would ask the mayor to please submit to us her list so that we can make sure that we have, everything is listed in there. Earlier you said that Jackie was prepared and that we would like to see what the administration...
Sure. I mean, and just to clarify what I was referencing, during the meeting, we did have a sheet that had the organizational funding from NIP and community
We
development.
just want to be sure we didn't miss any.
There may be other sources, absolutely, but it did have those 2 listed.
The other comment that I have about this is that any amendments that we would have to this or any other resolution or ordinance need to be in writing. So if you could get with us ahead of the meeting, give us some time to tell us what you want so we could prepare those, that would be very helpful rather than waiting until we get to the meeting and then trying to write them as you're talking. So we would just ask for those 2 things. And I wanted to talk a bit about Resolution 101, if this is everything that we have.
Yes, sir.
For this. Resolution 101 is on the agenda because our office failed to do all of the advertisements that needed to be done, and so we went to the mayor and asked the mayor to veto it. She did veto it, and there's been a question since then, well, why don't we just, since this is on the agenda, why don't we just go back out and do the advertisement and then re-adopt this one? As I read the charter, we don't have that option. The charter says we'll put it back on the agenda at the next meeting, and there will be a motion to approve that in order for the mayor's veto to be overridden, you need a 2/3 vote to do it. We've always interpreted that to mean you can't amend it, you can't do anything else, you just have to vote it up and down. And of course, we are asking you to vote it down, to vote no when it comes back up. We have a new ordinance on the amendment, a new resolution on the amendment to do the same thing where we'll start all over again. But we would ask that there would be a motion tomorrow on this to approve, and then we would hope every council member would vote no. Then we'll start all over.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Council members are clear on that. Tomorrow we want to bring it up and then vote it down so that we can start over again. Okay.
And if you will, just make it clear that I'm doing this at the request of the council's office, so nobody will think that we're at odds. So nobody will think that we're at odds and that I'm vetoing stuff and y'all don't like it, okay? Let's just make that clear.
Yeah, thank you for your cooperation in this endeavor. Sometimes we have to do things that, because you want a clean record, huh?
Well, if I ever have to ask for a veto, I'll be telling you why.
Okay.
But this time I was asked to veto it.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
You.
Thank you for your cooperation. We're going to work together, make it right.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Mr. Crawford, where are we?
I have no idea.
You don't know. Somebody's going to be paying attention. Who's watching the store?
We got lost in the fog. We got lost in the fog of the money, but I can tell you all $150,000 will fix a street, okay? So just think about that.
I mean, that's where I am on that.
The infrastructure is pathetic. Okay, with that said.
Introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to June 28th, 2016. Resolution 21 authorizes the use of certain equipment at Mount Olive Baptist Church. Resolution 122 authorizes the use of certain equipment for the North Shreveport Business Association for their Heroes Barbecue. Resolution 123 authorizes the use of certain equipment by the Shreveport-Bossier Sports Commission. This is regarding the National Hot Air Balloon Festival, July 5th through the 18th. Resolution 124, waiving the effects of certain provisions of Chapter 78-359 of the city's Code of Ordinances relative to the length of the proposed new boat slip at 2905 Municipal Pier Road. This boat slip will go between 2 current boat slips, so even though it does go outside of the ordinance, it will not be protruding any further than the other two that are currently there. Resolution 125 authorizes the execution of a retainer agreement between Cook, Yancey, King, and Galloway, APLC. This is the resolution that our clerk of court was just speaking about that we do want to bring up. Resolution 125. Resolution 126 authorizes the mayor to execute an intergovernmental agreement and cooperative endeavor agreement between the City of Shreveport and the Parish of Caddo to authorize the acceptance of $500,000 from the Parish of Caddo to purchase of marked police unit. This should purchase about 12 new cruisers for the police department.
Wow, that's wonderful. Any comments or discussion regarding these resolutions? And the donation from the Parish Commission Mayor, the $500,000, is that adequate to do what we need to do with cars?
Well, yes, because we have to equip them with everything.
Oh,
so,
the city would have to equip them.
well, with that 500,000, we will be able to.
They
do
will
that.
be equipped.
Oh yes, yeah. It would be really good if we had the money like immediately, but they just waiting on the council to now do it since we didn't get the agreements and all of that done until the end of May. We already have begun purchasing the other cars, the other 93 that y'all approved last year, in the last year's our first budget.
Yeah.
Thank you. But this 12, we'll just have to wait until you all can, pass on it.
Okay.
Hint, hint. They have to do a two-reader.
They do, yes, ma'am. One of the things you may see, Mr. Chairman, next year is the 93 that will be purchased with the allocations that the council and the mayor approved in this year's budget, and then the 12 will put us at about 105. That's still about 50% of the way on where we need to be. Remember, no police cars have been bought since 2012. And so the mayor probably in her executive budget will be coming back again to propose some additional vehicles in the 2017 budget if the budget allows to do that, so we can start staggering some of those cars as well. So we're a little over halfway there. The cars that are all being bought are all marked units. There's almost the same number of unmarked units that protect our city that are not in any of these packages.
Just because I want to throw a little more fuel on the fire. With $150,000, how many more police cars? Is that 3 or 4?
Probably get 3.
3.
Okay.
We're going on past that.
They're roughly $40,000 a piece. That's fully equipped.
Almost
That's everything. Laptops, cameras, computers, DVRs, the whole 9 yards. So it's right around $40,000 for graphics and everything. Ready to go.
Bill, that's a trick question. I meant to tell you not to answer. I meant to tell you don't come up on that. That's a trick question.
As I said, I just had a little gasoline that I had a good fire that was simmering over here that I could just add a little bit more on. But thank you very much for your very quick response. I appreciate it.
All right, let's move forward. I forgot about the hearing, the special meeting.
Okay.
Industrial ordinances.
Yes, sir. Ordinances on second reading and final passages. Ordinance 54 amends the 2016 capital improvement budget. This is for an airport extension of taxiway in. Ordinance 55 amends the 2016 capital improvements budget. For an Ordinance 55, I believe your screen will show you an Amendment 1. The administration is also proposing an Amendment 2. Tomorrow we will ask you to vote against Amendment 1, as Amendment 2 is an inclusive amendment to reset the entire ordinance. And you should see that tomorrow. And I believe we could have a hard copy for you before you leave today. What it will do is it will keep the 3 areas of the water improvements intact, being the E11003 by $1 million. It will keep the increase of the appropriations to the sanitary sewer assessment in Phase 2 F16001 intact at $5 million. The 2 changes it will make, it will increase the $43,354,003.83 to $73,354,304.83. So we're adding $40 million to that, and we're also adding an increase of appropriation to the Lucas and North Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant of $3 million. So the total there will be a new $82 million, and that will be an Amendment 2.
Okay. All righty.
Ordinance 56 amends the 2016 capital improvements budget. This is for the Linwood Avenue reconstruction, Phase 1. If you'll remember, the 1.9 was taken from the reallocation of the Murphy Street Bridge that was taken over by DOTD. Ordinance 57 amends and reenacts Chapter 26-109 of the Code of Ordinances relative to the fee schedule of the Department of Engineering and Environmental Services, and to enact Division 6 of Article 2 of Chapter 78 relative to facility permits and facility servitudes. And then Ordinance 59 is a zoning case, number C-4-16, amending Chapter 106 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Shreveport zoning ordinances by rezoning property located in the northwest corner of West 70th Street and Rice Road, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, being the same is hereby changed from RA SPI 2, Residential Agricultural Industrial Park Overlay District, to B3E SPI-2, Community Business Extended Use Industrial Park Overlay District with site plan approval.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or discussion regarding these ordinances? Okay, if not, we'll be prepared to vote on these tomorrow, but and we want to be clear on the voting against one and voting for two on that amendment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, table legislation, anything on the table, Mr. Crawford, do you know?
Not that we're aware of, Mr. Chairman.
I don't think there is. Any council members aware of any? Okay. If not, we will be hearing the appeal regarding Mr. Settle's this morning, this afternoon when he spoke on union investments, wanted to appeal that decision on that light beverage ordinance that we passed. Okay.
We do have one property standards case, Mr. Chairman.
One property standard case.
Yes,
Mr. Green.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is for 437 Boulevard Street. It's a historical residence in Highland. Property owners have replaced all of your seals up under the house. And what they have not done is basically just replace or put back the siding that's been taken off of the structure. But they have done a good job replacing all of the seals. They have put new piers in the back where they're doing an addition also. So what we're asking them to do is to basically clean up what they need to clean up as far as the care premises, which is kind of small, and go ahead on and put back what they need to put back on the porch area and around where the seals have been replaced.
I'm happy to defer to the one who lives on Boulevard.
Yeah, I will say the guy who owns this house has redone a lot of houses in Highland and done a really, really good job. This one does seem to have a little bit slower progress than I'd like, but you know, I did put in a call to him today. I feel pretty confident that he's going to have this all wrapped up if we do a 60-day deferral. So I'm willing to postpone for 60 days, and I'll continue to reach out to him and make sure that in 60 days we can write this one off.
Second by Councilman Fleury. Moved by Councilman Everson, second by Councilman Fleury, that we do a 60-day postponement. Are there any discussion?
And vote.
That motion passes 6-0, one out of the chambers. Are there anything else regarding property standards?
That is it.
Thank you so much.
Amusing.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do this. Then reports from any officers, boards, or committees. Please, Mr. Cook.
Council members, everyone should have received the email this afternoon with an attached letter concerning the status of the city audit. Look over that this evening before we get in tomorrow, and we'll have one of the members of the audit team here if anybody has any questions tomorrow.
I'll be having some questions.
Okay. All right, I hadn't seen the email, but I'll review it when I get home. When I get back to the office. Okay. Any other members have any reports? Mr. Clerk, you have a report.
Immediately following this meeting, we'll have another meeting. It should be a short meeting concerning Pickney's Corner Store. You will recall it was postponed at the last meeting.
Yes, sir, I
There's been
do
some
recall that.
developments in it, but we do need to have a meeting. If we could go right into it, I don't think it would take but a minute.
Yeah, I'm going to ask the council members, keep their seats. We'll dismiss and we'll start our new meeting. But before we do that, additional comments? May you have any additional comments?
No, sir, thank you.
Any council members have any additional comments? If not, then this meeting is adjourned.